What if the most famous shipwreck in history, the Titanic disaster we all know, wasn't just a tragic accident? What if it was a key move in a massive plan designed to control the world's money? Have you ever wondered why the price of a simple filter coffee you buy in the morning seems to annoy you a little more each day? Those banknotes in your wallet seem to melt away like an ice cube left under the summer sun, even if you do absolutely nothing. The suited Wall Street boys love going on television and selling you fancy words like inflation, supply chains, or interest rates. But what if I told you that the invisible hole in your pocket was actually opened in 1912, in the middle of a freezing ocean? Today, we're examining the striking story that connects two enormous historical events that seem completely unrelated. The title of our story is clear: Titanic sinks, Fed rises. Sounds dramatic, doesn't it? But trust me, as we dive into these dark waters, you'll see just how perfectly that title fits. Everything begins on a knife-sharp, windy November night in 1910. Imagine a private train departing from New Jersey. On board are some of the most powerful and wealthiest bankers in the world, but no one knows who they are. They use fake names. They turn up the collars of their black coats, completely hiding their identities. That journey was the first step toward a secret meeting that would change the course of history, and everything, absolutely everything, was wrapped in total secrecy. Curious journalists followed them and asked, of course, "Where are you going like this?" The answer is so simple and boring. We're going duck hunting. But look a little closer. They don't have a single hunting rifle with them. Instead, inside their leather bags are plans that will redesign the global financial system from scratch. Even the duck hunting lie shows the magnitude of the secret they were protecting, because the real thing they wanted to hunt wasn't ordinary wild ducks, but Uncle Sam himself. In other words, the entire future of the American people, down to the last cent in their pockets. The train's final stop? Jekyll Island. At the time, it was a private retreat for America's wealthiest families, practically an elite secret club. You could think of it as the early 20th century's version of Davos, closed to the press, closed to the public, but completely open to history. In that mansion, they cut off all contact with the outside world for 9 full days. Why? Because their objective was crystal clear: to design a system that would control all the nation's banks from a single center. But while doing so, they had to avoid ever using the words central bank. At that time, the public deeply distrusted that concept. They hated the idea of power being concentrated in a single hand. Yes, the institution we know today as the Federal Reserve System, the Fed, was born in that cigar smoke-filled room on that isolated island. And the most cunning part of the plan was this: they knew very well that the public didn't trust banks. So they said, let's create a system that isn't called a bank, but controls all the banks. It was like creating a monster and putting a friendly angel mask on its face. The goal was control, but quietly, invisibly. Didn't anyone stand up and say, wait a minute, something is going on here? Of course they did. And this brings us to the second act of our story, the most tense chapter. Because standing in front of this plan were giants, seemingly unshakable figures, the richest, most powerful, and most independent men of their era. Here were those titans: John Jacob Astor, one of the richest men of his time; Benjamin Guggenheim, heir to a vast industrial empire; and Isidor Straus, co-owner of that famous retail empire. These three men built their fortunes not on debt and financial engineering, but on industry and real estate, on tangible and physical assets. They believed in a very simple philosophy: real money is something you can hold in your hand. You can't print it out of thin air in a press and distribute it as debt. According to historians, these names were extremely skeptical of the central bank idea. They strongly opposed monetary power being concentrated in the hands of a few. And now we arrive at the most chilling, most critical moment of the story: the ice-cold coincidence that changed everything. I use the word coincidence carefully because when you look at the sequence of events, countless questions arise. Just 2 years after the secret meeting on Jekyll Island, these three men who most strongly opposed the Federal Reserve Plan strangely found themselves on the same ship. Which ship? The famous Titanic, the one that was said to be unsinkable. With VIP tickets as honored guests, But there's one more detail. One of the most powerful financial figures of the time, J.P. Morgan, was among the financial backers of the Titanic. His own luxurious suite with a private fireplace was ready, and he was expected to be on board. At the last minute, he canceled his trip. The official reason was health problems. Alternative interpretations ask, was it intuition, prior knowledge, or just a coincidence? Let's slow down here. This narrative is never a verdict. It is never a court ruling. It is simply a massive question mark. According to a theory circulating in popular culture, this was a planned assassination. We have no official documents proving that. But there is one undeniable fact. When the Titanic sank, not only did hundreds of innocent passengers disappear, but the three strongest voices opposing the Federal Reserve System also vanished into the dark waters of the Atlantic. While Guggenheim rejected a life jacket and waited for death in his finest tuxedo, while Astor removed his leather gloves on deck and lit his final cigarette, that independent, tangible idea of money was sinking as well. The result? The largest center of opposition was completely eliminated. Now, look at the timing. It's almost unbelievable. 1910, the secret plan is prepared. 1912, the three biggest obstacles disappear in the Titanic disaster. 1913, the Federal Reserve Act passes Capitol Hill at lightning speed. This chain of events clearly explains why the conspiracy theories surrounding this story have never died. The Titanic tragedy practically cleared the road for the Jekyll Island group like a smooth, open highway. There was no major opposition left. It was time to build a new financial order. Even the way the law passed is striking on its own, a date very close to the Christmas holiday. Many key senators were on vacation, back home to eat turkey. The Congress building was nearly empty, and at that exact moment, in that planned silence, the bill was brought to a vote. Minimal debate, rapid approval, and enactment. The timing seems to be as if it was chosen deliberately to face the least resistance. The authority to produce unlimited debt and print unbacked money was written into the DNA of the system that day. Those who defend this theory say that the roots of the endless inflation cycles we experience today, the reason we pay more every day for that coffee on the corner, were planted in that secret meeting. And this summarizes the entire story. On one side, there is the Jekyll Island plan, a centralized, debt-based system built behind closed, smoke-filled doors and managed by elites. On the other, there is the answer thrown to humanity like a digital life jacket after the 2008 crisis: Bitcoin, an open code that everyone can see, a decentralized network controlled by no single authority, not by any top-hatted banker, a form of value that exists not as debt, but as a digitally scarce asset limited by mathematics. One is built on secrecy and control, the other on transparency and freedom. And we end with this critical question: could the idea of independent wealth that sank to the bottom of the ocean with the Titanic be reborn in digital form a century later? History always repeats itself. When the next massive iceberg appears on the horizon, which ship would you want to be on? Let's meet in the comments. Do you think the Titanic was just an unfortunate accident or the greatest financial operation in history? Don't forget to like the video to avoid becoming prey for new duck hunters, and subscribe to the channel to hold on to that digital life jacket. Stay financially sharp.